Depends how you define impeachment, high crimes and misdemeanors.
Right.
The thing is, it looks to me like pretty much a policy difference, pretty strong policy difference.
Right.
There's probably a lot of room for criticism of Mayorkas, how he's conducted his job. But going down that route could be kind of dangerous for both sides. And I suspect that's why both sides maybe are not real eager to take this up.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with magazine editor David Mark. David, seems like a while ago, but the House did vote to impeach DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on the second try. Are we ever going to see that move to the Senate?
Yeah, seems like one of those Washington stories that happens, then kind of gets lost in the shuffle. The impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas happened back on February 13th, and it's interesting to me in that it still has not been sent over to the Senate by House Republicans who initiated the impeachment. So I don't know exactly what they're waiting for. They may be looking to see what happened with the Biden family investigation, maybe a better time. Maybe they're trying to negotiate with senators on what kind of trial they can get, but it just seems strange. It kind of happened and then just kind of fell away.
Once House Republicans do transmit it to the Senate, is Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer under an obligation to take it up and advance it, or can he sit on it and then sort of let it die?
It looks like, according to Senate rules, they do seem obligated to take it up. That's what then Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell did with the first Trump impeachment. It's hard to keep these all straight.
Right.
Yeah, I think he was Majority Leader back then. He basically said, we don't agree with this, but we've got to at least take it up. Now, that doesn't mean they have to spend days on it or even necessarily even hours. They could take it up and say, we don't like this, it's dismissed within 10 minutes. Or maybe they'll give House managers an hour to make their case or something like that, which is what I suspect House Republicans are really concerned about. But it just seemed weird to me that they did this big thing and then just kind of disappeared.
What do you make of the strength of the underlying case against Mayorkas? Do you think there's something compelling to be presented?
Depends how you define impeachment, high crimes and misdemeanors.
Right.
The thing is, it looks to me like pretty much a policy difference, pretty strong policy difference. There's
Right.
probably a lot of room for criticism of Mayorkas, how he's conducted his job. But going down that route could be kind of dangerous for both sides. And I suspect that's why both sides maybe are not real eager to take this up. Republicans don't necessarily want to set that precedent of having somebody impeached just for they've done their job. But Democrats in the majority in the Senate don't want to set that precedent of just dismissing something, an impeachment charge, when it comes over, because, look, it could be a Republican president, Donald Trump again, who they try and impeach. They don't just want to dismiss. So a lot of politics at work. So what a surprise.
Right. And speaking of politics, not to put you on the spot, but what do you make of how the Senate leadership races are playing out right now?
Well, it's interesting that there's effectively the two Johns. There's John Thune,
Right.
Republican senator from South Dakota. He's now second in command on the minority side. John Cornyn, who was in that role for years and years. It's really tough to game out. That sounds like an evasive answer on this, but I think a lot of it really does depend what happens in the election. Because if it's a race for majority leader, that's a totally different role than somebody who's in the minority, which is just opposing each day. We don't know what kind of new senators may be in. They may. If you get someone like Bernie Moreno, who just won this Republican Senate primary in Ohio, or you get a Republican in Montana in a competitive race or some of the others, they may say, hey, we don't want anybody who's been in leadership. We want a Rick Scott or a Ted Cruz or who knows who else it might be. So yeah, I'm sure both of the Johns are putting together the lists, but I don't think they really mean much until after Election Day.
Do you think either of the Johns or anyone else running for the lower down leadership spots, do you think anyone is positioning themselves to be a leader in a Trump presidency? Is anyone catering to the Trump vote right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, who is running for, I believe, it's the third ranking position, if I'm remembering that right, head of the Republican conference. He's an outspoken supporter of Trump. You could see him trying to move up real quickly if there was an open race for majority leader. Doesn't mean he would have to stay in that position. These are ambitious politicians, and could be plenty of other names. Again, Rick Scott. I would say Ted Cruz. He's not usually the most popular guy with his Republican colleagues, but you never know.
Well, David, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You can get more reporting from David and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.